We are here, Michelle.
You've seen each other. You don't need to see anything new.
We've already started talking. Michelle,
Sorry.
I think our audience can already hear our special guest. We've got Michael Patrick King. My goodness, what a career this man has had.
Where do we start?
I don't know where to start. Michael is here. Michelle Visage. Now, you're a Sex and the City fan.
I'm a New York gal.
You're a New York gal.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The comeback.
The comeback, exactly. You know, it's funny, Michael. You know, I live on. I probably shouldn't say this.
You lived in the Village.
I live in the Village, and there's a street where.
Magnolia Bakery.
Well, there's that, but where Carrie lives,
That's right,
people still
Yeah.
are in front of that.
Are you kidding me? Taking
stairway,
pictures?
Taking pictures.
I call it the Blarney Rose for single women.
Oh,
That's exactly.
They
my
go there
God.
and they have to kiss the Blarney Rose, but there actually is their sad thing is that there's that lovely woman who owned the house who we tortured. She was like, "You're not coming back, are you?" And we would always come back and shut down the street, and we paid so much money to that Perry Street Association for their trouble. But now there's a little fence, a little chain,
Yes.
To
To
keep
so you
them
can't
out.
see.
Yeah.
But so many people call me all the time and say, "I'm on Perry Street." They're still coming there.
They're still coming. Why do you think that is?
I think it means something to everybody. I think it is a shrine of the single girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's been hurt on those steps. She's been loved on those steps. She's had victory and failure on those steps. It's in New York. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's real.
So
it's a
poetic.
real street, and that means it's real. I mean, one time I was when we were in the fever of it all, and it was like the 5th season, and people were going out of their minds. I went out to dinner with Sarah Jessica and Chris Noth. And Chris drove like a vintage turquoise blue GTO or some other kind of expected muscle car.
Yeah.
And we went to the restaurant, and it was in a parking garage because, it's really ballsy to have a car in New York.
Oh,
right?
the ballsiest.
Come on.
It's obnoxious.
We're driving to dinner?
It is.
Oh, come on.
Who are you? Yeah.
big dick.
Pat Fields has a car
Of
too.
course.
She's got
Yeah,
a car
does.
there. Yeah.
Pat lives in her
She
car.
earned it.
She drives it right into her house, I think. So we're leaving, and I'm sitting in the back, unseen, and we pull out of the parking garage, and there's 5 single girls walking down the street, and we stopped to let them by, and they look in and they see Carrie and Mr. Big in the car, and they go, "Oh my God, it's real! It's real!" Because I was invisible, as always.
Oh my God.
And they were there. It
Oh
was
my
real.
goodness.
So I think something about seeing Carrie's stoop makes it even more real, because
You
it
know-
was real.
I found
to
so
them.
much joy. A few months ago, I was walking past there, and the guy who lives in the apartment, he's got a sign up in the apartment that says, "Shame on you, Mr. Trump, you blah, blah." And he's that guy, right? So someone had unchained the chain that protects people from going up the steps. Someone had unchained it and
Steps
decided
Unchained.
to... Steps Unchained.
He related to Django.
That guy was cussing them out so hard. It made me so happy to see this guy cussing these people out, because people come from all over the world to do that. And, I happen to walk up and down that street. I'm not going to say why.
No.
Oh my God.
Magnolia Bakery.
Yes, because I'm going to Magnolia Bay.
Sure. I lived in the Village, and I actually started writing scenes around my house. So that's why Aiden lived I lived on Greenwich Street, so Aiden lived right on the street.
You don't have that place anymore?
No, I let go of it.
Yeah, on Greenwich Street. Now do you know how to describe to people the difference between Greenwich Street and Greenwich Avenue?
No, I'm sure you do, though.
I'm going to tell you.
I bet it's funny.
We got a New York secret.
Well, no, it's very simple. It's not that funny. It's just that Greenwich Avenue goes off of 6th Avenue. Greenwich Avenue goes off of 6th Avenue. Greenwich Street
goes off of.
it runs perpendicular to 6th Avenue. It goes perpendicular to the West Side Highway. So it's West Side Highway, Washington, Greenwich Street, and I don't think those two ever intersect.
They don't.
At all.
Just ask anybody who ever's been invited to a party at my house and never made
They
it. 'Cause
wound
they
up
were on Greenwich Avenue.
on
So 6th Avenue, Greenwich Avenue.
Greenwich,
Yeah.
6th Avenue, Greenwich Avenue.
West Side Highway, Greenwich Street.
Michelle, do you have sparkles just in your everyday life?
Michael, they just
I'm looking
show
at her,
up.
and she just has sparkles
That's
on her
called-
tear ducts, and you're not even in
These are
drag.
tears.
These
These
are
are
just
tears.
sparkles.
What people don't realize, we are taping right now on location when we do Drag Race, and if you are on the set, inevitably
Get hit by
you have
sparkles.
sparkles all over.
Do you know what
your
we've
body.
renamed glitter and
What?
sparkles? Gay herpes. Because they'll never
you got
leave
quite
you.
an outbreak right now.
Like,
Right.
I do. I can't
Exactly.
help it. They'll
Yeah.
never leave
It's
you.
so pretty.
And sidebar, how beautiful does Rue look without eyebrows? You're like it's so beautiful.
Well, you know, I did my scene earlier today, and I didn't have time to paint on eyebrows, so I just put on some glasses and a hat. But I did have time. What you're looking at, I do have a light foundation on.
It's you're like normally people without eyebrows are like, was she sick?
Yeah. I didn't know whether to comment on the eyebrows. Not because I knew that he wasn't sick, but I just didn't know whether is it appropriate to say,
doesn't he look
"Oh, you have no eyebrows this time."
Yeah, well, it is this because Rue's very good at painting an eyebrow.
I can paint on an eyebrow, yes.
You just
Usually
look
there's
so
glasses too, which
beautiful.
obscure
Yes,
eyebrow
that's why.
obscurus.
That's
You
That's
don't
the
see it.
easy way to do it. And all the queens have caught on to do that. You know, they put on a pair of
Giant, yeah.
glasses that cover up the eyebrows. Now, we are talking with Michael Patrick King. Of course, everybody knows you from Sex and the City, but let's just talk somewhat about the comeback.
Yes.
But wait, one thing. Okay, before we get to the comeback, now, you told me something recently that you had waited tables in New York for many years before.
Many years.
What restaurant were you?
I worked at, if you were ever in New York in the 80s, I waited on you. I literally was everything from the saloon to Tavern on the... Remember the saloon on the Upper West Side with
I
the
don't
roller
know
skating
that.
waiters?
I
Sure
don't
you do.
know the
Right across from
saloon.
Lincoln Center. Well, you never came uptown.
No, I never went
I
above
lived
14th Street.
uptown, but what year?
I don't remember years.
We'll talk off mic about the year.
1833?
I was
Remember
there.
right near the coaches where the coaches used to stop with the gas lights? That's where I was the first one out there with
Where the horses would fill up on the
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I worked in the saloon. I worked at little restaurants called Simon's. I worked all over the place, everywhere.
And by the time you finished, were you just fed up with food?
No, I actually was fed up with waiting.
Yeah.
I actually thought, it's a big thing. I thought, when will the day come when I no longer have to wait on tables? That will be the biggest day of my life.
Did you
and
think...
when it came around, it just sort of atrophied off.
Did you
like a vestige?
Was there
like
a point
an arm
when you thought, "Oh my God, it's never going to happen for me"?
I made a thing when I was a waiter that I would never work in a restaurant for longer than 3 months because that meant I was a waiter, not a writer.
Right.
So I would just walk out the door after 3 months. Is it that day? And they would go, "Where are you going?" I said, "It's 3 months. I quit."
Wow.
Really?
I just kept going because there were lifer waiters, and you'd sit with them, and they would go like, "I didn't get up for that audition because I was waiting," and then we hung around and had drinks, and I was like, "I got to get up."
Yeah. How long did you do it?
Let's just say this: I moved to New York when I was 20, and I still didn't have my rent when I was 38.
Okay.
It was a very long journey. I mean, I started as a waiter, then I started to make money when I became a stand-up, and that was the beginning of like making money. And then the waiters fell off somewhere around playwright stand-up stuff.
Yeah. And what kept you going, though? I mean, because a lot of people don't have the wherewithal to stick with it.
I had a need to put on a show. I had a drive that was unfounded or unheralded at all. It just was in me. I felt that I had something to say or something to be. And I was, speaking of being blindly driven, I was driven to realize it. And I never, I shape-shifted a lot. I didn't keep just doing one thing. I would go, "That's not working. Let me go over here and do this. Okay, I'm a playwright. Okay, I'm a comic. Oh, I'm not going to act." Oh, I was shape-shifting, but I knew that there was something that needed to get done. And when I was a waiter, I worked graveyard shifts. They're like from 11 at night till 5 in the morning. And I literally had no career. And I would lay down, I'd go to bed at 6, and I'd sleep for like 3 hours and then get up because I had to get up and make it. Where was I going?
Somewhere.
Somewhere I had a drive that I was going to make it, and I would like be putting stamps on envelopes, and it would be like 2:00 in the afternoon, and I'd be falling asleep, and I would think, if you take this nap, you're not going to make it. I don't know where it came from, but eventually it all started to link up, that everything that didn't quite work gave me something that I needed for the parts that did, and I never stopped. And it was never about money for me. It was always about the thing. Whether it be the thing I'm working on or the recognition, which is the part I'm not too proud about, but it drove me to be seen.
Where are you from?
Pennsylvania, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Scranton.
Very
Home of
glamorous.
Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah, they think it's a compliment.
They do.
What is Dunder Mifflin?
It's The Office.
Oh, of the TV show The
Yeah,
Office.
yeah.
And then so you waited tables all this time. What was your first sort of big break? What changed?
I started doing comedy. And I started.
Stand-up.
I first started in a comedy team. I was in a comedy team. We did improv. I went from an improv group to a comedy team. I found this amazing girl that we worked really well together named Lisa Mende. We had a team named King and Mende. We actually played Vegas.
Really?
Yes. The only thing bigger than our names on the marquee was Gourmet Buffet $9.95.
Yes, you made it.
I made it.
Yes.
Where in Vegas?
At
did
the
you play?
Riviera.
At the Riviera.
Yeah, the bad Vegas.
Yes.
Before the Disney Vegas.
We talk about that
Yeah.
quite often.
The bad Vegas, but it was still funny and awful. And after Vegas, we split up. She had a husband, and she was moving to California, and I was like, I'm not moving to California. And I went back and started stand-up, and that was an interesting thing because I had been in the clubs already as a team, and I said to Silver Friedman, who runs the Improv, the original in New York, can I do stand-up? And she said, do you have 5 minutes? And I said, yeah, I'll get 5 minutes. I could get 5 minutes. What I couldn't get was the ability to stand on stage by myself and be present. It takes a really long time to be a stand-up.
I agree. People
does.
don't realize. And 5 minutes is a really long time.
Yeah, but once you find your own rhythm, your own voice, did you have your own voice at that point?
I was hiding a lot because I was still in the closet, surprise. And so I really was funny in the audience, but not funny with the truth. I wasn't telling my truth. I was telling the audience funny things. And so what I found was I was a really big gas pedal for evolution for me. It was like, oh, this is really big. Standing on stage and not knowing what was going to come out at you from the audience. Jersey.
It's frightening.
Playing in Jersey in clubs. Are you fucking kidding me?
I lived it.
I mean, it's not civilized.
No.
They just it's not good.
Civilized.
It's not good. And they'll go right after the thing that you're most afraid of, which is faggot, gay, whatever. And one time I was on stage, we were playing a club in Connecticut. No longer so lovely to me.
They're safer there.
Not really.
No?
This is a place called Billy Jack's Cafe O Comedy. Just a O with apostrophe.
Oh, like Irish O.
Yeah, like O Comedy.
Oh, yes, it's brilliant.
And we were standing on a stage, and we used to do this thing. My partner and I, we would tell the audience we were going to improvise or whatever. And there was a bunch of guys right at my feet, right off the table. And I'm talking. We used to wear black and white. Like I wore a little black and white tie, striped tie, and she wore a black and white top, and I would wear black jeans, and she wore white jeans.
Shields and Yarnell.
Yes,
there's the reference.
Without the mime.
Without the mime. But it was like a look. And so I'm up there telling my little, hey, so tonight we're going to improvise. Da-da-da-da. Can I curse on this?
Of course.
So I'm talking and I'm doing my best to be on and entertaining. And I hear this one guy turn to his friends and go, look at this fucking faggot jerk off asshole. and only I heard it.
Oh, no.
And it was like I was Alice in Wonderland falling down the hole. I was like, oh, and I'm still talking. And I'm falling down at an existential hole.
So you lost your sense of presence.
I lost my sense of falseness.
Yeah.
And I was like, who heard that? Did I only hear that? And I'm still talking. And I'm like a record that's skipping like, meow, meow, meow. I'm not making any sense. Oh, my God. Every time I got on stage, it was like, this is a flamethrower for me in terms of facing who I am. And so eventually my big break was I went from that to working in television in New York at the
What was your first big television show?
there was a show called The Rachel Sweet Show. Do you know Rachel Sweet? She was a singer, a pop singer.
Yes, I remember.
She was
Do
from
you?
Akron, Ohio. She was 16, and she was part of the London Underground.
Yeah.
They discovered her. She was this American. She had a show on this comedy channel, which was the forerunner to Comedy Central that still exists. And they did these shows that were almost like comedy VJ shows. And I was hired to be her first executive producer to write stuff for her.
I wonder whatever happened to Rachel Sweet.
Oh, she's great. She's a comedy writer in Hollywood now.
Good for her.
I introduced her to her husband at a St. Patrick's Day party of mine, and they have 2 kids, and they're very happy. And
St. Patrick O'Comedy.
Yes, anything. Couples. And so she's a big, successful TV writer now.
That's amazing.
Amazing. So you, how did you get the
I'm
job?
talking a lot.
No. This
You
is what
two
we
should
do.
be talking.
No,
No,
this
we
is what we
talk all
do.
the time.
I'd rather hear you talk.
No.
What? So, how did you get from the comedy club to that Rachel Sweet job? What was the secret ingredient?
Carolyn Strauss, who was the head of HBO for a while and is now the executive producer of Game of Thrones,
Not too shabby.
not shabby at all, was somebody who she started out doing the half-hour comedy hours. Remember those
Yes.
on HBO?
Yep.
And everybody wanted one. Well,
Yep.
I didn't get one, but she thought it was funny. And I knew her, and the show was in trouble, and they needed a show doctor. And she said, I wonder what Michael could do with this. So she asked me to think of some ideas, and boom. And she is also the person who said, do Sex in the City for us. Make it funny.
I love that. I bring that up, and we're going to take a break in just a second. But, when you're in New York and you are from the Village or you're from the underground, there are many opportunities for people to go and work in the big boys' rooms, in the writers' tables and stuff. But it's very rare for people from downtown to be able to make that transition to the writers' room or to HBO or that kind of thing. I'm just interested in what the shift for you that enabled you to do that and stay there and stay at the big boys' table.
Yeah, you never went back down. You never went back downtown.
Okay, but the big boys table really, here's the big secret about the big boys table. Just be good. That's it. Just be good.
Good at your
Yeah,
job.
but everybody brings these, when I've invited people to the big boys table, they bring in their own baggage and they sort of self-sabotage in a way that wants their identity as a, say, starving artist or a...
I heard. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't want to sacrifice
They
that
don't want to
identity.
sacrifice
No,
that.
They don't want to do it.
They don't. They feel like that
You
compromises.
gotta look at the room. I mean, I'm in a room. Eventually, when I got to Hollywood, I was in a room with like 7 straight guys. And I'm like, okay, how am I me here? And that's an interesting journey,
And how your voice is different
Yes,
from
yes,
theirs.
yes. And it's a very interesting thing. I think that the biggest thing you can do is you have to just work on being yourself and also being appropriate. You have to feel the volume of the space you're in and take up your space and figure out what the vibe is. How is this working? How is this working as a group? Not how am I working in this group? How is this whole thing going to make this better? What can I add? Not how can I be littler, but what can I add to this thing that they don't have? So to me, it's like the better you are. And I run rooms now. And what I'm always looking for is the individual voice who understands community. It's about everyone being an individual, but still in a thing together. You're all building one thing. You know what that means.
Energy. It's all
Oh, it is so much
energy.
energy.
It is. But
But you're going to keep going after this?
well,
You're still not. He still wants to know why
no, he's-
why these divas can't figure it out.
it's an ongoing thing. It's very rare for people to, so to speak, go from below 14th Street to uptown to midtown. It's very rare for people to be able to make that transition without sabotaging it. I found that most of my friends from the old neighborhood, who I always said, come, let's do. Michelle's an exception.
I was going to ask you how you guys did it.
Well, no, but this girl is hungry, and she is a shapeshifter. She is someone who knows how to. She can read a room, and she could read what's appropriate, what she can get away with, and what people's energy.
and how to be inappropriate in an appropriate way.
Absolutely.
That's on a business
me.
card.
But
I'm inappropriate in an inappropriate way.
Yeah, she's also a really, really hard worker. You'll never find someone who works harder than this woman right here.
Well, that's it too, and also the ability to be like to keep going. That's what you're saying. What drove you? I don't
Stick
know.
with itness.
Yeah.
Rue
Well,
always
But
says
you
that.
have to keep going.
Yeah.
Do you think it's easy?
Rue
No.
always says, Michael, that it's the people that stay with it long enough that achieve it. Because most people, let's think about even Dustin Hoffman, who started out later, or Al Pacino started out later, and I think he was waiting tables and didn't start until, I want to say, his 40s even. I remember reading over 30s later in life. But the point is, if he had given up and listened to all those people that said no along the way, we wouldn't have one of the
It's
greatest
such a
actors of all
catch-22
time.
too,
It is.
because with art, there is no definitive right way, and that's a trick. Like if we were all in the elevator repairing business, you either can do that
Or
and
you
people
can't.
the elevator goes up
Yeah.
and no one dies,
Right.
or you don't and you're fired. But with art, I can say, especially with the young people I'm working with now, I can say to them, this script doesn't work, and they will say, I'm sorry, it doesn't work for you.
Right.
And I go, but it doesn't work.
Right.
Can we get on thing that you might have missed?
Right.
And my whole thing is like, wow, you can't, and this is using shame in a positive way, you can't shame anybody now.
Right.
Because I can tell them I don't, like it took me a while to figure this out. I had a lot of millennials on Two Broke Girls, which was the last show I did for
So
the network.
good.
Thanks. I had a lot of millennial writers, and I would say to them, I don't like it. And they would be like, all right. And I was like, oh my God, when I started out in Murphy Brown. If Diane English ever told me she didn't like something,
You would die.
I would die.
Yeah.
Like that school teacher thing, like you want to be a good student. I thought, why are they unpenetrable? And then I realized that I'm going to say us, our group, used to have to wait a lot between approval, and they're going to leave me and go out on their phones. They're going to get 500 likes.
Correct.
Right.
Instant gratification.
They're done. They get likes.
Yes.
You don't like me. I got 495 people who
Right.
like this face I made.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like an old geezer, but I'm like, they're not the same.
No, you don't sound like an old geezer because we've talked about this ad
I don't want to
nauseum.
sound like a young geezer either.
But I'll sound like the young geezer then. But really,
You
at the end of
should.
the day, you're 100% correct. That's an issue. That's a real issue. And I'm raising 2 teenage daughters. I don't want them to be that way. I love the ballsiness of the millennial workers,
Yes.
especially in the business. But you can't come to the table knowing everything,
Right.
Because it's that moment of when you know everything, why are you doing it?
Well, the whole thing is, you're not the boss.
Right. A.
So your goal is, if you want to be right, become the boss.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes!
that's the path. Oh, I don't want to be working for that guy because he ruins everything. That's my opinion of the guy in charge of some show I'm on.
Yeah.
So the only way around this, aside from my anger and frustration about the fact that he's ruining everything that I think would go differently, is
He's the
go
boss.
past him.
Yeah.
Right.
Respect him, but get out of there and be the boss yourself so you can be the person that they don't like.
Right. And it's possible.
But it's your thing. I think it should go this way. You have to have a vision.
Yeah. Somebody's got to have the
I
vision.
mean, I don't think everybody's saying, oh, I'm sorry it didn't work for you. I might be right. That's exactly what everybody thinks who's an artist. Well, I'm good.
Right.
But
course.
there's a level of not wanting to take in the option that they could be wrong.
Right. We're going to take a break. We've got Michael Patrick King. We're going to talk about Sex and the City, The Comeback, Two Broke Girls, so many successes, but also, this one paid, walk the hard yards, So
I do.
That's what
we
it's
will
about.
talk all about that right after this break. Everybody's talking about they need more money. Everybody needs a little bit more cash. Well, I have the solution.
Tell me.
Why not become a Lyft driver? Now, that's, of course, the ride-sharing app that allows you to go wherever you want without having to deal with parking or having to deal with the DUI or dealing with all that. This is the way you can make some money. Become a Lyft driver.
I don't even have to worry about the headache of taking my teeth in and out for a job.
That's right. No, that's the most important point right there.
Yes, I have to agree.
Yeah.
And Lyft has a special offer for you. Sign up today at Lyft.com/Ru and you're going to get a $500 new driver bonus after you complete 100 rides within 30 days, which is so easy to do.
Totally.
You can choose if you want to be part-time or full-time, but you do this thing full-time, 100 rides in 30 days, you're going to do that in 2 days.
That's right. You'll be queen of the road.
That's it. $500 could be yours so easily. Go to Lyft.com/Ru. That's LYFT.com/RU.
Michelle, I love magazines. I grew up reading magazines. I think everything I know I learned from magazines.
Agreed.
And now there's just this great way to read your favorite magazines. Every magazine you can imagine is on Texture.com.
Because, Rue, at the end of the day, nobody got time for dragging around giant magazines.
No, right?
It's just with everything with laptops and everything else that are in the way. You got Kindles, you got phones, you got this and that. Nobody's thinking about buying an actual physical magazine.
Exactly.
anymore.
When I get on the airplane, I don't want to carry all the magazines with me on the plane. Plus, I want to keep them as a reference for when I say, oh, I like that outfit. I want that. Oh, I want to do my makeup like that. So you have them on your device in perpetuity.
With Texture.com.
Yeah. How do you say that word? In perpetuity.
In perpetuity.
It's good for you.
Did I say it right?
No, he says. How do you say it, Alex?
In
perpetuity.
In
There you go.
perpetuity.
In perpetuity.
I was making it up, but I liked mine better. In perpetuity.
Yeah. Well, I want everybody to go to Texture.com/Ru and get that 14-day free off over
Yeah,
there.
because here's the thing, you guys. They have so many magazine titles. Let's just name a few. People Magazine, Better Homes and Gardens, Esquire,
Vogue.
Time, Reader's Digest, National Geographic, Sports Illustrated, Entertainment Weekly, with someone I know was on the cover of.
They even have drag racing magazines.
Not our kind of
Not
drag
our
racing.
kind, but yeah, if
But
you're
the real
into,
kind
yes,
of drag
yes.
racing. So they have all that stuff, you guys. And the good thing is Texture is searchable. And just like Rue was saying, you can mark what you like.
Yeah.
You can check out the back issues because a lot of times you go, oh my God, I know that this outfit or this look was in something 4 months ago.
Yeah.
They have the back issues on Texture.com, bonus video content
content. They even curate articles and magazines just for you or whoever you're going to give Texture to this year. It's normally $9.99 a month, and you get over 200 magazines, but if y'all sign up right now at texture.com/Rue, you get a 14-day free trial.
I like the sound of that.
So why subscribe to just a couple of magazines where you can have all your favorites on your smartphone or tablet all the time for way less? Plus, Texture was selected as one of Apple's top 2016 iPad apps. Hello, it's 2017. I'm sure that they're even better this year.
I'm sure of that.
So start your free trial now and download the Texture app right now. Texture is offering our listeners 14-day free trial when you go to texture.com/Rue, texture.com/RU.
We are back with Michael Patrick King, and oh my goodness, we got so much to talk about. But
How nice for me.
Well, you know,
No, this is a treat for me.
Well, it's a treat for
No,
our-
it's beyond a treat for me.
it's a treat for our audience. So we have a lot of young people who listen to our show, creative people who listen to our show, who want to understand how to make a path for their own voice. And we were before the break, we were talking about you working with a lot of millennials who don't have the ability to be, how would you say?
Humble or
Humble.
is that the
or-
right word?
And we don't
Or
want to
wrong.
Wrong.
It's not every millennial.
It's not every millennial.
No, of course not.
No.
We're not generalizing, but this is the frustration for us geezers. And let me say, I'm probably the youngest in the room, and I'm 49. So we're talking about
Jesus
a
Christ.
big, but it's a big.
That is a rough
It's
sentence.
it's a big age gap.
That good check.
Think about that, though. Think about that. I'm the
Yeah.
youngest in the room at 49.
I just want to put on to anyone who can't see me. I'm not in traction. I am not in a wheelchair. I'm not in a Stephen
I had a
Hawking's.
point, Michael. I
And
had a
Rue and I look amazing.
You do look amazing.
Even
You're
though I have
both
eyebrows.
I barely do. Point
Oh,
being,
shit. Okay, 49er.
that's me.
Wow, that's
but
amazing.
but you know what you're describing though are these kids who grew up who my friend
Entitled, maybe?
Well, my friend has kids, and he said that they will do a little league storyline. Each kid gets to do the swing the bat. This is how they play baseball.
Yeah.
But even if you don't hit the ball, you still get to run the
Okay,
base.
now here's the thing.
That's not fair.
That's a huge part of my development gone.
Uh-huh.
Because I was out in the right field eating shit as a little leaguer. And that, please don't let the ball come to me. Please. And the humiliation. Now, I don't really, and I'm thinking about this all the time. I don't know whether that humiliation forms you in a good way, like makes you the diamond, or whether if it's removed, you'll get there anyway.
No,
I think the humiliation creates the humility.
100%.
That allows you to
And
understand
the force to overcome
the force.
Yes.
And then, you understand gravity, and you understand
Yeah.
that the yin and yang of the world. If you don't have any yin, then the world will break your heart at every turn. So
Because it's going to happen.
It's gonna
It's going to
happen.
happen inevitably. If you
Those-
don't have the tools.
that's right.
Right. So if you get a trophy every time,
Right.
and then someone doesn't give you a trophy, you're either devastated and can't go on,
Right.
or you make them wrong.
Right.
And trust me, the universe, nobody gets out of this thing alive, by
No,
the way.
no.
The universe
Well,
will.
Michelle will get out a little bit
Oh,
later than
no.
us.
Michelle.
Apparently,
Just
Maybe
a
she's
few
going to have a couple more
years.
years than us.
Michael, just a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, water seeks its own level, and that's just the way it is. And that has nothing to do with, maybe this doesn't work for you, Mr. Boss. But in my mind, I am a little leaguer who is a world champion
Yeah.
at playing baseball, even though I've never hit a ball. So
Different kind of ball.
it's-
And hey, make no mistake either. Let's pause for the balls.
Thank
yeah.
you.
You
Sorry.
always have to let the balls.
I got to
Yes.
go for the low
That's for the
hanging.
homes. That's over the
Low
home.
hanging fruit,
Well,
Michael.
literally.
Exactly.
Literally.
It's always there.
Plums. They would be plums. But the thing I was going to say, make no mistake, anyone who's listening, we want you to be there and want you to be good.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for your voice.
Absolutely.
I'm not looking for you to have my voice. I'm looking for your voice. So don't come in broken or thinking I'm not going to want to hear your voice.
Right.
Just figure it out. When I would see all those actors, and it was so amazing, actors would always come in and they hated me. And every door that opens up, the person that walks in, I think, I hope it's him.
Of course.
I
Yes.
hope it's her.
Right.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
And then they just explode.
Right.
It's true.
'Cause
Right.
They come in with a thing that says they didn't. Speaking of that, stand up. When I was a stand up, the woman who ran the club said to me, tape all your sets, cassette tapes,
Of course. Record and play.
record and play, and listen to them afterwards. And I would go on stage and I would do my act and I would come off and I would actually say, they hated me. They hated me. They hated me. You know, that's the thing you say if you bomb.
Right.
They hated me. So I'd walk home from 44th to 73rd Street. They hated me. They hated me. They hated me. They hated me. I'd play the tape and I'd hear, they loved me. They loved me. I did one joke they didn't get. I hated me.
Right.
Wow.
And then I hated me and I pulled away.
Right.
And then I told them to hate me too.
Yes.
And I was like, this is so interesting.
Were you able to see that back then?
Yes, that's because I was listening to the cassette tapes, and I would go, "Wow, this is me. I'm doing it." You just have to sit in the fact that you bombed. Don't turn it on them. But you hate you, and then they pull away. That's heavy.
Well, I love that. That's a great story. And you know what?
Well, you do that all the time to people.
Well, you have
You
to
call people out on that all the
That's
time.
what this whole process.
It's so exciting.
Energy.
That's what this whole process is really about, and that story is so important because I keep going back to the kids in the East Village who I started out with going above 14th Street. That's the cycle that keeps happening. When I see when you say to the young millennial writer that doesn't work, it's coming from a place of there is a fixed method. There's a fixed method of how humans interpret things, what they hear, what they see, what they taste. There is a process that is
And
really
also
fixed.
for this particular show that I'm in charge of, that I hired you for.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not talking a universal that doesn't work.
Right.
This doesn't work for this right now.
Which in turn, as an open-minded, especially younger writer, you should then go, maybe it doesn't. How can we make it work?
Or I got something else.
Yeah, let me
How
show you
about
what else I
this?
got. Yeah.
How about this?
There's a million ways you can
If
go.
you don't
with it.
come back with, how about I got this, I got this, I got this.
My brother-in-law, who was one of my early, he was my first mentor. Really, I was 9 when I met him. He had a car business where he would flip expensive cars, and I was never able to sell the cars. I was able to wash the cars
And drive the
I
cars.
could drive the cars, but he would have me go and run errands, and he'd say, "Listen, when you come back here, do not come back here with a no. If you can't come back here with what I asked for, come back with something better."
Wow. Well,
And
that's
that-
a writing room.
That's a writing room.
There you
And
go.
one of the first things I learned from Diane English, who's a beautiful, brilliant showrunner, is you can't shame a joke unless you have an alternate.
Okay.
You can't just point out, it doesn't work. You have to say, what about this instead?
Right.
Correct.
No bad ideas. Just bring them all out.
Correct.
What else?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just go shaming people. You have to have you have to put something on the line for that. You have to say, what about this?
So after the Rachel Sweet show, did you go directly to Diane English?
No, that was interesting. I got a call from a friend of mine named Cynthia Stevenson, who is a really
The actress?
Yes, the actress.
Oh, great.
Wonderful actress. And she said, I'm on a show. They can't write for me. Will you come out and write for me? And I was like, what are you talking about? What show? And it was a show called My Talk Show, and it was produced by Second City, and it was a strip show. That means when there's 5 in a row, 5 a night, 5 a week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the premise was like Fernwood Tonight. It was a woman in the Midwest who had her own talk show.
Why do I not know about
I
this?
never
It was
heard of it.
brief. Brief, tedious and brief, as Shakespeare would say. It was brief. So I said, I'm not coming to Hollywood. What's it about? And she said, it's about a woman from Ohio who has her own talk show. I'm not coming to Hollywood. And I'm telling you, I had a computer in my little office at my home, one room, and I was literally, somebody just started putting my hands, and I just made up what my version of that show would be. Never having seen it because it wasn't on the air. It wasn't on the air. So I just boom, 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 and I put some gas station guy because the price of gas was so high, and I like she's talking to him, and I just said, I'm not doing that. And I sent this. Somebody inside of me sent the script to Hollywood. I got a call. They liked it. They wanted to hire me. Now
God.
I had now this is from somebody who nothing ever worked like that for. I never had results.
Okay.
The first time I wrote a one-act play, I wrote it. 2 weeks later, somebody said to me, do you have a play?
Wow.
And that was done. So as soon as I hit that, I was like, oh, this is different. Anyway, I sent the script to Hollywood, 38. Sent the script to Hollywood, already too late to be in Hollywood. And they said yes. And I had this manager who was the guy who used to represent all the Saturday Night Live writers. He's this old guy. And
A. Whitney Brown and
all those.
Yes.
Michael O'Donoghue,
Yes.
all of them. Everyone from that, he had all this. And I was
From the golden days.
I was the kid. And he's like the no job kid. And he was like, he talked like this. And he said, Mike, you're going to go to Hollywood. I said, what's it like out there? He said, Hollywood's like a game of musical chairs. Only when the music stops, no one's out. They just push in another chair. And I said, I don't want to go. And he said, well, just know if you go out there, you're going to be the poodle. And I said, what's that? And he said, you're the actress's pick. You're her poodle.
Interesting.
Like actresses get a writer.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I finally decided, well, I'll give it a shot. I didn't want to go to Hollywood because I thought my life would change. It did. I came out. I went to the show. I hugged her. She whispered into my ear, I just quit.
Cynthia Stevenson just
She
quit.
just quit. So the first show I wrote was her goodbye show. And then that show pretty much went down like in 3 weeks. I got an agent because of a script I had written. It was Ari Emanuel, who went on to become
Sure, the head
Hug
of
It Out Bitch
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Entourage. Him. And
That's
he
who
was-
Ari Gold was based on.
Yeah. And he said to me, I have connections at In Living Color. Write a sketch. I said, what am I going to write for In Living Color? Just that's the only connections I have. He was a young agent. So I wrote 3 sketches for In Living Color.
Go ahead, say it.
What they were? I wrote Officer Mars and Officer Rollo, that's chocolate candy. 2 mounted policemen who were for the Wayans brothers, who were so good looking. All they did was look at each other in each other's mirrored glasses on horses, and they just kept saying how fine they were as the horses shit.
I love
And I wrote a thing called Shelf Life, which was in a medicine cabinet. It was an old box of hair relaxer, talking to an Afro pick about their days are over, and talking to Jerry Curl about he thinks it's all going to be good for the rest of his life.
Oh my God.
And it's just these 3 things talking. And the third thing I wrote was Connecticut Family Safari. It was a black family driving through Connecticut, like the Wilderness
Oh
Safari.
my gosh!
And
Shut
every
up.
time they stopped, like people threw pesto at the car, and insurance men tried to give them their cards. And the last line, they would scream because all these white people from Connecticut were coming up like wild, crazy animals. And the little girl said, "Can we go again, Mommy?" And the mommy said, "No, that's enough white people for today." And
Oh my God.
that's what I would write. I wrote exactly what I would write, and they hired me. And I actually the next day got another job, which was for a Ryan O'Neal Farrah Fawcett sitcom called Good Sports.
Yes, Good Sports. Yeah.
It lasted briefly.
Yes.
Right.
But I took that because it was a narrative. It was like a traditional storyline.
It's also Farrah Fawcett.
It was-
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that went down fast. But that was it. And then I went from there to Murphy Brown. And it sounds so easy.
It does.
For
it
you,
sounds
it was
magical
yeah.
at this point, but it wasn't. It was.
You did the hard yards
I did the
before
work.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was ready. That's the point.
And Cybill, you did Cybill too.
I did
Yeah.
Cybill. I was fired off Cybill after 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
I was fired on Cybill when I was brought in to be the executive producer when somebody else left. But there was a coup at Cybill, and it had nothing to do with Cybill because I liked Cybill. Cybill, there was just a coup. There was a lot of bad energy. There were 16 writers. I got taken over. There was a split in the room. There was like a 3-way coup. And I got in charge of one faction, and then those other people got mad, and then I was in charge. Now, here's the best part. My parents were visiting from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I decided to let them be extras because Cybill was all about minorities. So she thought it'd be great to have 2 old people sitting behind her in the restaurant. Quick story. So I look at the monitor. I'm the executive producer of Cybill. I'm just there for 2 episodes. I'm watching it, and I see my mother talking to the waiter, and she's making faces, and he's miming like, here, just background, like, here's what we have, and she's rolling her eyes and making faces, and I'm like, Mom. I went and I said, what are you doing? You made more faces about that fictional Caesar salad than you did when I told you I was gay. Take it down. She said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I said, just sit here and say your rosary. Just say your rosary.
Yeah.
But anyway, while they were there filming, I read in the trades that I was fired.
Oh my.
While my parents were there, somebody says,
being extras, by the way.
Lou, look at the trades. I opened the trades, and they announced the new showrunner for Cybill was, and no one had called me.
Oh my God.
my
And I was like, oh. And my mother said, and I was going to edit that show.
Yeah.
And then I was done. And my mother said to me, we're not going to tell anybody that we're in it until we know we're in it. I said, oh, you're in it. If it's the last thing I do, I'm fired. You're going to be in the show.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I got fired.
wow.
weird.
And that was
But that was pre-existing conditions.
It was. And when I asked why, they said they need to start fresh. They need a mop aisle 5 guy.
Okay.
Who can come and clean up the mess.
How long after that did the show?
It went on for a long time.
It went on for a long time.
Yeah. It wasn't.
It was on for a
It went on. I mean, that was its 3rd season, and it went on for I don't know how long because I blocked it.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
blame you.
Oh my goodness! Listen, we're out of time, but
Oh,
we
my
didn't even get
goodness.
to talk about the comeback or
Well,
you
the
know,
comeback's amazing. I know you love it. Thank you for being on it.
love it.
It's brilliant.
I'm so proud of it. Lisa and I are so proud of it, and it keeps generating its own love fest for people who have never seen it, and that's the great thing about technology.
Which
now.
is surprising though, because it's a show about sort of the dark side of
Yeah.
what being a star in Hollywood and
Well,
the business.
what people are willing to do to
remain
themselves
relevant,
to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was basically my cautionary tale, me working out like, oh, really, how much of yourself you're willing to grind up?
Mm.
The poster was Valerie standing in a meat grinder.
Yeah.
And her skirt is coming out like sausage. And that was Lisa and I's idea of what the show is, how people, and it was in the reality show, it was before there was even the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
Yeah.
It all became the thing.
Well, no, it's just amazing though that the show, obviously, there was the first season. How many years between the
10.
two? 10 years between the two seasons. But the fact that it resonated so hard for people, it's Hollywood doesn't like TV shows or content about itself.
No.
Because it's way too strong. And the fact that an audience found this show
It's
and
amazing.
loved the show.
It's a mirror. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Hollywood hated the show. New York, ravenous fans.
Mm-hmm.
New York got it because it was distance. Hollywood's like, nope.
Yeah. Right.
Nope. And then eventually, because of the way the world works, it hung around. We got very blessed that it became a cult thing, and
Yeah.
it still was relevant. And that's one of the great things about content now. It can still live. It doesn't need a network's permission to be alive.
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk? We've got to go, but are you allowed to talk about the Bridget Everett
I
thing?
think so.
And what's it called?
It's called Love You More.
Uh-huh.
Bridget Everett is this amazing New York cabaret star who is bold and brazen. She's an Amazon. She defies a lot in her live performance. She crosses a lot of boundaries. In real life, she's all soul. So I worked with her 10 years ago, another 10-year thing off Broadway. We wrote a show for her, and I got a chance to work with her again. You might know her from Amy Schumer, and she's also,
I love
yeah,
her.
she's wonderful. So Bobcat Goldthwait, an amazing writer, director who used to be a stand-up, and I and Bridget and Carolyn Strauss from Game of Thrones came together, and we wrote Bridget a show called Love You More. And the amazing thing about it is, aside from the character that she plays is Karen Best, and she's a mess. She's a mess. She does all the wrong things at night. She's outside all the lines of society. She drinks a lot, has a lot of inappropriate sex. And so she's a mess at night, but she's a hero during the day because her job is she's a counselor at a group home for young adults with Down syndrome.
Oh, bless.
So there are 7 Down syndrome actors in
Oh,
it
I
as
love
well.
this.
And then she has a 72-year-old roommate
I love
who she got on Craigslist, who came back to New York to resume her life as a single girl after her husband died. And that is played by, Lonnie Anderson.
Oh my goodness. Lonnie Anderson.
Lonnie
Oh my God.
Anderson.
She's back.
And wait. And it's a beautiful performance. It's coming on Amazon November 10th. It'll be on their website. It's a pilot. You have to-
Love You More.
Love You More.
Yeah.
And Lonnie Anderson, Bridget, and these amazing actors. And it really, again, like the really kind of interesting stuff I've done, it defies, it's never been seen before. That's what people keep saying. I've never seen anything like this.
Oh, I can't wait.
But it's kind of about love. It's all about love.
Oh, God,
which
it
is what
sounds
you
so good.
two are all about. So
I love it. I love it.
I'm very happy. It's very exciting.
And I love Bridget.
Oh,
too,
she's
so I'm super
wait till you see
excited.
her. She's
Yeah.
so amazing. And there's music in it too, as well.
Yay!
There's one song a show.
Oh, perfect. Love You More. It's on Amazon. Thank you so much, Michael Patrick
I feel
King.
like the only sad part about this is I didn't get to hear Michelle and you talk.
Oh, you can tune in anytime.
No,
and
I
hear
can't.
That,
Not with me in
honey.
the room. This is like
Yes.
3D.
No,
This is
no,
real.
you're
This is virtual.
fabulous.
This
It
is
is
virtual.
completely
I can.
virtual.
It's almost like I can reach out and touch you.
You can. It'll cost you,
I
but
know.
you can.
I'll be leaf covered in sparkles, but it'll be good.
Yes, exactly. No, you were fabulous. Michael Patrick King. Right now, we've got in a few minutes, we've got Jody Watley coming up.
I mean, this is getting more exciting every
What a
day.
great show this
Yes.
is. It's fantastic. We'll be right back after this. Michelle, the Blue Apron storyline, I think it's so fascinating. The idea that they could ship food to your doorstep for such a small price.
Yeah.
You know, when you go out for dinner, you got to find parking, you got to get gas, and you got to gather up the whole family together. What's more beautiful than having the family have a meal, sit down for a meal in your own home?
And by the way, less than $10 a meal.
That's brilliant.
You ain't eating anywhere for less than $10
No, you're
a
right.
meal.
You're right. Even if you go to fast food, you
No.
can't get it for that. You know,
Not-
and this is not fast food at all.
This is not, no, and you get to cook it yourself. You know where it's coming from. I swear by Blue Apron. I know a lot of people have kind of converted over.
Sure.
They've tweeted, they posted on Facebook saying, all right, I'm going to give it a go. And they love it. I've turned some of my mom friends onto it because you do get the first 3 meals for free with free shipping. It shows up at your door, you guys. It's in a big box. And inside it are the biodegradable ice packs. They separate the meat from the produce.
Sure.
It comes marked. You know what it is? It has a recipe, big recipe cards that you can reuse if you like a recipe. You can then take it to the grocery store next week or the week after and go, you know what, my family liked this one. I'm going to redo this myself and buy the ingredients yourself. They know that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you're going to make incredible meals. So they do set the highest quality standards for their community. They have all their, suppliers, family-run farms, fisheries, ranchers. Some of the yummy meals that are coming up, listen, meatball pizza
Oh, wow.
with fresh mozzarella cheese and charmed tomatoes, miso butter salmon, miso horny butter salmon, and some lo mein noodles with cucumber and charmed tomatoes. A lot of charmed tomatoes going on, apparently.
Right.
New
Brilliant.
recipes created weekly, not repeated within a year. You can choose your own meals or go rogue and let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you and just go, I don't know what I'm going to get this week. No whammies, stop. You could do that yourself. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card. Y'all, I am telling you, I am no Julia Child, but this makes it so easy that I do it. My kids love 9 out of the 10 things I choose.
Yeah.
They love and say, I want more
Because
of
your
this.
kids eat meat. You don't eat meat, but your
Correct.
kids and your husband all eat meat. Is there a vegetarian option?
There's always a vegetarian option. Always 100% a vegetarian option. My youngest daughter loves salad, so maybe I'll get something with a salad. There's always a side dish. It's never just, here's your slab of meat. So there's always some kind of a salad that goes with it or a veg that goes with it and or a grain that goes with it. They do a fully prepared, it's a fully balanced meal. You can check out this week's menus and get your first 3 meals free, like I said, with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Ru, or you guys, they have a great comprehensive app to check out and you could sign up that way. But make sure you don't forget to put in that code word. It's RU. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
We are here with Jody Watley.
Yes.
Hi, Jody.
Hello.
It's so
Hey, fabulous people.
Thank
Yes.
You know, it's so funny. My life and your life has always crossed paths. You and I are in sync, and we always will be.
Yes.
Always will be, because I met Jody the first time. I think it was 1975. My brother-in-law, who was a bit of a hustler, entrepreneur. He had a club in San Diego that he hired Jody, and I think it was Tyrone Proctor
Oh, I remember
to come
Tyrone.
down and dance.
It's like a dance contest thing.
It was something,
Oh my gosh.
down in San
you know
Diego.
what? Wait a minute. I remember, and why I remember it. This is one of the funniest I remember. Didn't know that was but that show, we were Soul Train dancers then, and I remember it because Tyrone Proctor doing the hustle dances, he would swing girls around really hard, and his partner Sharon Hill at the time. She had said before they went out to dance, now, Tyrone, don't you be pushing me all around because my ponytail's not on good. And he was twirling her and twirling her. The ponytail came off.
Uh-oh.
And he hit the beat. It was some disco song. And he kicked it. and that thing slid across the floor.
Oh my God.
Like it was on ice skates. And so that's what I remember. We all just, it was so funny. But I remember that because of that.
That is hilarious. And Tyrone Proctor would hit the like he would spin a girl around and he would hit
Yes.
the end of the thing so
hard. Yes.
It was beautiful
Yeah.
to
Yes.
watch.
But not to
Beautiful,
do.
but probably not
But
to do.
whiplash.
secure with those pins.
Yeah.
Now with Soul Train, now I remember seeing you on Soul Train. You were probably 14 years
Yeah.
old, and you would have these two. They weren't even pigtails. They were your hair was tied on either side of your head. What's this? Where the hair was just out.
Afro puffs?
They weren't puffs. It was her own hair.
Right.
So it was just two.
It's like a little ponytail.
Those are
little
pigtails.
Little
Pigtails.
pigtails. Yeah. And you look for. Do you ever see that footage? Have you ever?
I do. In fact, recently, my current single, Sanctuary, a DJ fan of mine did a montage, and he mixed clips of me from Soul Train, and that's one of the one that he loops around, and I'm working it out in pigtails and white ribbons.
Yeah.
And I actually showed it to my son and daughter. Because I'm just,
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had the biggest laugh, and they said, "You still look the same." It's just,
Were you allowed to be that
but,
young back then on Soul Train?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was like, hold on.
So you were about 14, 13?
Yeah, about 14. I think.
14.
Yeah.
And so who introduced you to Soul Train? How'd you get on?
I was living in the Midwest, and it was the show everybody Saturday afternoon. It's all about Soul Train. And as fate would have it, when my parents moved out here, my dad was still trying to get everything back together. He lost his church, and he had a supposed friend out here who said if he brought the family out that he could be a co-pastor, whatever, at the church. So we came to California, and nothing went according to plan. And we drove out here, and my dad at the time, he went from flashy Cadillacs to this thing he called Louise. It was a broke down station wagon situation with wood paneling, just something out of a movie. And so in the middle of family turmoil, all I could think of is I have to get on Soul Train.
Yeah.
And that kept me from being sad, because it's like we, went from being fabulous to having nothing, and sleeping in Louise and those kitchenettes down on Venice. A lot of them are still there, Venice near La Brea. And so I ended up getting on with a guy I met in church named Bobby Washington. And he was a regular dancer on the show. Before that, now I had investigated, how do you get on this show? They had auditions, but it wasn't a regular thing. You had to know somebody to know someone, and I didn't know anyone. And one time, I happened to meet Tyrone Proctor. And
who was part of the Campbell Lock team, wasn't he?
He was. Well, he's in the original Soul Train dancers, and they were touring with the Lockers.
I see.
But Tyrone was the original Soul Train dancer. So anyway, I happened to see him one day, and I told my mom, "Stop the car! Stop the car! That's Tyrone Proctor from Soul Train. Stop the car! Stop the car!"
Oh my God!
So I get out, and I'm shy. But when I saw him, this is my opportunity. And he looked at me like I was insane. He didn't give me any information how to get on the show. It was very, "Thank you, you're such a sweet little kid." And he kept it moving. And so I would tease him about that for a long time. And so then, as fate would have it, I met Bobby Washington at a New Year's Eve midnight service. And he asked me if I would go. His regular partner was out of town. I remember what I had on. I had my mom's dress on. She always had fabulous clothes. It's black, with a turtleneck top. I had on a black beret and a pair of my mom's cute platform pumps. So I guess I had the look. And when he asked me, and I had been trying, this had gone on for like 6 months. I was losing my mind. And so that's how it was meant for me to get on there. It was Bobby Washington, and I'll be always grateful.
And how'd you get paired with Jeffrey Daniels as your dance partner?
So once I knew where they taped, and they taped,
which is where?
At the time it was KT, it was KTTV, on Cahuenga, not Cahuenga.
Gower?
Gower. It's something else now.
Yeah.
And so once I knew it was, so I would go up there the following month because after Bob, his partner came back, stood in line, got sent home, cried all the way back to the kitchenette on the bus.
Oh, so the kids would go to the studio, stand in line to get picked.
Well, most of them were already regular dancers.
I see.
And so I would just try to, weasel my way in. And sometimes it would work. And it's like, who are you? Get out of here. And so then I ended up becoming dance partners with a dancer named Glenn Stafford. And we danced together. There's a lot of clips of us on YouTube. And then another dancer, Charles Washington, another dancer who was really popular, James Phillips. He was a part of the original Soul Train dance gang with Tyrone. And Jeffrey, I met through my brother through church because Jeffrey was living with Reverend James Cleveland.
Oh.
And so my brother, and he lives in Japan, and he would tell you, I wish I'd never introduced you to him. But so they knew each other, and that's how I met Jeffrey. And then he was trying to get on the show. And then eventually we started. But I had been on there, I think, already for about a year.
Right. Because then, I would see you and Jeffrey and Sharon Hill and Tyrone Proctor on American Bandstand. Because during the American Bandstand had a big dance-off contest. And Jeffrey and Jody were part of the finalists for that big...
No, it's Tyrone and Sharon.
Was it Tyrone?
It was Tyrone and Sharon. Yeah, and they won the cars.
They won the cars.
Wow.
Yeah, they won
But
two Mazdas.
I thought you and Jeffrey danced to Working
I think
Day and Night.
I think we got in it too, but it was Tyrone and Sharon that made the finals.
Oh, I see. So Sharon and Tyrone made the finals.
Yes.
But you and Jeffrey also did, because I remember you guys dancing to Power. Was it Power by Lip Sync? Power.
Yeah.
Power.
Yes.
Power.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought also you guys.
You have a great memory.
No, this is.
He does for stuff that you'll never use unless you're in this moment.
But this is the thing, is that these kinds of memories, Soul Train,
But
American Bandstand.
Yeah.
Years ago, I got Dick Clark called me in the office to pitch something to me, this dating show or whatever. This is 17 years ago. And I told him, I said, before the meeting started, I said, there isn't a Saturday morning that goes by that somewhere in the recesses of my brain, I think, oh, American Bandstand is on.
Yeah.
Soul Train is on.
Right.
It's still back there. It's because it was it was such a cultural phenomenon.
So you weren't able, because Supermodel came out in '92. Were you able to be on Soul Train?
No.
I think it was off back
See, I was
then.
I was
think
able
so.
to be on Soul Train.
You were on Soul Train.
Yes, it was gone by the time yours came out, right?
Yeah, but it came back in different incarnations. But it's
Yes.
still actually, I was on a plane once with Don Cornelius, and I know they had a guest host from time to time.
Yes.
I said, "So Don, I would love to.
Yeah.
When am I gonna?" He said, "Oh, that'll never happen."
That's Don.
He was
that dry
he
voice.
was
That'll never
so.
happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Did he say it to you?
yeah. He did.
He was really rude to me too.
Was he?
Really rude.
Huh.
It was just I never felt uncomfortable, and it was that moment where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not
Oh
wanted
yeah.
here."
I was
in
always
this moment.
terrified of him.
Yeah.
Really?
Always.
Yes.
Yeah. And he would be the one that, eventually when I became a regular, I would always see him point at me, her.
Mm.
And I could just hear it. And I'm like, I'm super quiet. Like, did I do something?
Yeah.
And then and then I would see him talking, and he would always have them move me around in the riser.
Mm-hmm.
And, but throughout, even when I went back, all the times I did as a performer, I'm one of the few artists that he devoted an hour special to.
Wow, that's amazing.
And always shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
When I talked, he
Really?
just had that kind of
It was scary
dry
presence.
presence
Yeah.
that, it's just some people you don't want to even say hello because
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to come back.
Exactly.
There was no warmth.
Well, it's
yeah.
just it's such a
But
legendary.
he was always
Oh, sure.
supportive of me, but I always very he makes you nervous.
Yeah. No, I got it. We've got Jody Watley here. So many stories. I have so many questions. I love it. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this. I took a Lyft recently, and the driver was so lovely.
Aww.
And, I hope all the lovely people go out and apply to be drivers for Lyft, because I love the concept of not having to go and park someplace. And I love the convenience of dialing up Lyft and having them come pick me up.
So easy. And it's so great when you have the drivers just do the right thing.
Yes.
Nice, or they don't talk too much, or
Yes.
they're informative.
I love it. Listen, we need more lovely Lyft drivers. And if you want to make some more cash, go over to Lyft.com and apply to become a driver. You can make a lot of money,
How about up to $1,500 a week while driving your own car?
Oh my God, that's not chump change at all.
No, not. That's an actual living.
That really is. And if you sign up now, you can get a $500 bonus if you complete 100 rides within 30 days.
Yes.
As a Lyft driver.
And unlike other rideshare apps, Lyft, with a Y, has a tip button in the app so users can actually tip. And with Lyft drivers, they get to keep 100%.
Wait,
of
how
the
much
tip.
percent?
100%.
Wait, that's outrageous.
Let me tell you why. Because corporate America ain't taking your pennies as a Lyft driver.
Are you talking about the man?
The man ain't holding you back. You're driving your car, so you're giving a big middle finger to the man and say, I drive for Lyft. I'm going to keep 100% of my tips.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. And they have Express Pay, so once you have over $35 in your account, you don't have to wait for a paycheck. You can cash out at any time. I love that. And we here at What's the Tea, I almost said RuPaul's Drag Race, same thing. We here have a special offer for you. Sign up today at lyft.com/RU, and you're going to get a $500. Honey, that is a pair of Gucci sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
That is food for a while.
Oh, yes.
There is a button. See where my priorities is.
I do,
Set the
yes.
Gucci sunglasses first. You're going to get that new driver bonus after you complete 100 rides, like Ru said, within 30 days. $500. Go right now to Lyft.com or download the app. It's lyft.com/RU and start earning money with your car today.
We are back with Jody Watley. We're talking about her career and so many. I mean, you're one of those people who just sort of kismet. I mean, you were always in the right place at the right time. Such an incredible career. Of course, I remember, from the Soul Train days, and those clips are still all over the internet today. The longest legs is clearly a young child. Did they ever say, wait a minute, girl, you were 14, because you have to be 18 to be on?
Yes.
Because a lot of those kids didn't look 18.
No.
They looked older, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes. That's what, looking at it now, I always thought, how old were they? Yeah.
Because you look like, when you see it, you see, oh my God, that's a child right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't going to be denied.
Yeah. Well, there's
No stopping you.
There's one episode, especially during the disco era, where I remember they played Amy Stewart "Knock on Wood," the long version, and they let it roll.
I love that.
And
song.
these kids, you were
that
there.
was the song.
Don't.
Yeah.
These kids were just going at it.
That was one of those songs that the dancers would get super excited that, oh yeah, it's like, it's time to go to work now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I met you in San Diego in the back of that car. My brother, I couldn't go to the performance that night because I wasn't of age, at that time. But I remember I was really, really thrilled about that. And then the next time, I really, the next big benchmark was Shalamar, 1980, second time around, huge hit. Huge hit. Who decided that they were going to put you in the group, and who knew that you sang? How did you say, sir, over here, I know how to sing?
It was Don Cornelius, and when the time came to put Shalamar together, it started because the 12-inch medley of Motown hits, Uptown Festival, was a popular disco song, and it had
with
broken
session
through,
singers.
with session singers.
Yeah.
So they needed people to, give it an identity and to help promote it. So it was Don Cornelius's idea to pick Jeffrey and I. At that point, we were the most popular dancers on the show. And he knew, there's an interview he did, archived Jet Magazine or something, and he just said, because of that charisma and the instant notoriety from the public, it would be, he just thought it was a good choice. And he didn't especially know if I could sing or not, but he knew my mother, which I never knew. Because my dad was on the radio for a time in Chicago at the same time that Don Cornelius was. He knew that she sang in church and whatnot. And so beyond the popularity and the charisma and everything, he said, eventually, he said, I figured since her mother could sing, she could sing too. And he was right. And originally, they also, Dick Griffey, who never wanted me in the group, wanted to bring another girl in. And I said, no, I can sing. So I actually, though I was already picked to be in the group from Don, because it was Soul Train Records at first, I sang Barbra Streisand's Evergreen a cappella.
Really?
Yeah. And that was it, because it was just like, there can't be another girl.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
And
then,
so they liked the producer, Leon Silvers. He said that I had the perfect tone for the group because it had he said it has that pop thing or whatever.
It really does. And he Leon Silvers the third, who produced many of the records for Shalamar, had he would, this first time I ever heard this technique, then they would do it on your voice, which is it would double itself like computer. I don't know, maybe you were just doubling.
We were
yourself.
doubling.
You were doubling. Yeah. But it was a perfect double. It was, and the tone of you doubling yourself, it was very, very unique.
It'd have to be very precise.
Yes.
And you know, I was always really good with it. I have really good pitch. And then you have to remember exactly the inflection of how you sang it on that part. It's like way before. Now you can just, you know, computerize it. And even with hand claps, back then we would get in the hallway and everybody would, you know, clap.
Yeah.
And everybody had to be right on time together. And then we would double the hand claps. You know, so all those disco records, it's like the hand claps are real, everything is real.
But that was the joy. I remember being in the studio. I remember the first time, it was 1989. You're in the studio, you hear it, and then they said, okay, you're going to sing it again exactly the same way. And then when you hear the playback with it doubled, you're like, oh,
yeah,
the record's coming to life.
Right, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And so it was Big Fun was the first Shalamar album. What was
third?
Was Big Fun was the third?
Yeah, because Uptown Festival, which we didn't sing on, and then Shalamar Disco Gardens. Let's not forget Gerald Brown.
Right.
Take That to the Bank. Yeah.
That's right.
So Shalamar Disco Gardens, which produced the hit Take That to the Bank. And
are you on that one?
That was the first. We all sang together.
Okay.
Gerald, Jeffrey a little bit, but that one we became the act. I call that original Shalamar because that's when we all first recorded together.
That's right. And Big Fun was the first one with Howard Hewitt.
Yes. Then and then Gerald departed, and then Big Fun entered Howard Hewitt.
And that really propelled you guys into, because second time around, how far up the pop charts did that go?
It was Shalamar's biggest hit and the only top 10 single, actually.
Really? Bigger than that last one, Dead Giveaway? It was
Dead Giveaway didn't do that great in America. Second time around is the only, even you would think a song like A Night to Remember.
I think also A Night to Remember would be a huge hit.
It wasn't at the time. I think over time, it did okay. I mean, obviously, but over time it's become, I think, the most beloved song of that catalog.
This Ring is for the lover in you.
That was a modest R&B hit. It
really?
wasn't a crossover hit.
It's so much bigger in my mind.
In my mind.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's like if you pull up some of those old Jet magazine charts and Billboard. No, actually, I was even surprised because I had someone helping me a few years ago work on my website discography. And that's when I kind of, because when you're doing it, I'm not thinking about, well, what chart, with my stuff, I was obsessed. But with Shalamar, I didn't, being younger, and it's like you just doing it. Yeah. And then I thought that was a bigger hit than it was.
Right. Yeah, because there was some, I mean, there was Make That Move and
what was the biggest one for Shalamar then?
Second time around.
Wow. Make That Move was great.
That's one of my favorite. And when we do that in concert, when I do it in concert, it's it always moves the crowd the most.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about make that move.
It's so great. I saw Jody recently in New York at BB King's reviewed the show.
Yeah.
That I loved it.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
was in heaven, and everything, all those memories kept coming back to me at that time.
Wow.
It's just a really exciting time in music, and I loved all of the Solar records, which is what Soul Train Records turned into Solar
Yeah.
Records. I love that whole sound, that
Yeah.
Leon Silver's sound with Lakeside and
Dynasty and the Whispers.
And the Whispers.
The Whispers had, great songs and
It's a love thing.
Yeah.
What was it,
Yeah.
Rocksteady, the Whispers? Or no,
Yes,
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady, but
Mhm.
that was LA
Yes,
Babyface who did that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, okay, the decision to leave Shalamar. I've seen something on YouTube where you finally discuss why you left the group and what was going on. And it was kind of a revelation to me, because I can't imagine being in a group where you're partnered with people and you'll be remembered as part of this threesome forever and ever. It's like it's like a put together family group.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to
like them.
or go on vacation with them.
Yeah.
I feel that way about my family. I love them. Love y'all.
Yeah.
I want to go on vacation.
Right.
But it was interesting that you've
And you were the only girl.
Yeah, and it was, and even on the Unfiltered that I did, I was still, mindful of, I would love to really, go in depth with a memoir, a movie, or whatever. But one of the things that people don't know is that Jeffrey actually left before I did. People always
Really?
think it was me. I
Yeah.
knew it. She destroyed the group.
Uh-huh.
He didn't come back when we recorded the Look album. He's not on that at all, other than Dead Giveaway. Because actually, by then, once you really know the business and you're not getting paid and all of that, that every young artist goes, is just, and also side deals were being cut for Howard with Dick Griffey, and they were just doing all kind of stuff. And so, and also, once you realize your manager can't be your record label and your booking agent. And so we wanted to break away and get our own manager, and Howard didn't.
Yeah.
And that kind of became really it. And because he was so ensconced with Dick Griffey, Howard was. He had him doing separate shows without us. My friend, rest in peace, Jermaine Stewart, he said, well, girl, you're not going to be, we're about to do a concert. Where are you at? And I said, we didn't know about it. And things like that,
wow.
things that didn't come up in the Unfiltered, that, that was really a big part of it. And so just you reach a point, like I said, and what really changed my life forever was my father passed away unexpectedly. And it's like I was just so heartbroken, but it made me look at life, and I'm still early 20s, and I thought, this is not it. It's like I'm being disrespected as a girl, as a young, woman here. The business is wrong. And even though it's like, sure, it's great to hear your songs on the radio, but there's a bigger thing called life. And I made the decision to remove myself. And recently, going through a legal situation with a trademark, one of the documents from the old attorney of Solar made the statement, and it's actually true. When I read it, I was like, wow. So he said that when they tried to convince me to stay, I said to him and Dick Griffey that day that I would rather be a ticket taker at the Baldwin Hills Theater than to be in this group. Isn't that a great line?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this has to be in the movie.
I love it.
I'd rather be a ticket taker at the Baldwin Hills Theater than to be in this group.
Oh, it's funny.
And I was so soft-spoken, but I could totally hear myself saying it.
Well, it's, as soon as you said it, I immediately got a picture in my head of the Baldwin Hills Theater, and I remember,
Yes.
Friday Foster on the marquee, and that's the first thing that came to mind. Here's a Pam Grier movie called Friday Foster. I could see it on the Baldwin Hills
love
Theater.
that.
Yeah. So, did you get to write any?
Because I used to work at the Baldwin Theater too, as a ticket taker, as a teenager.
And what movies it was all the Foxy Brown and all those
all
movies.
Of those movies,
yeah.
Great movies.
Orca and all stuff like that.
So on the Shalamar stuff, obviously it was a rotten deal because that's what you do with young kids when you put them on a thing. Mm-hmm. Did you get to write anything on those?
Yeah,
albums?
I co-wrote "Full of Fire."
Oh, that was a hit.
"Playing to Win," "Help Me" from the Friends album.
Oh,
"Work It Out." Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
And so with the publishing, they couldn't screw with the publishing part of it.
Oh yeah, he took that too.
Oh my goodness! But what's interesting though is that it prepared you for your own solo career.
Yeah,
Which was...
so I said I have no bad feelings about it at all. It taught me so much. So once I decided, well, I'm gonna keep singing. And I got so focused and knew. And I'm still learning, but I did know some things and that I learned from what I didn't want. Mm-hmm. That going in and being, a young woman, it's like, you already have a strike against you. It's like, oh, you want to write? Really? Mm-hmm. That's cute. Mm-hmm. Sure you do.
True.
You want to, do all the styling and wardrobe, which I did, some of that in Shalamar too. Uh-huh. But it really, it was a great learning experience.
Sure, yeah. And it, of course, introduced the public to you. So when you did come out with your solo album,
her Grammy Award winning.
Yes,
yeah.
It was a major coup. And in fact, it made all the Michigas, it made it all worth it.
Absolutely. And I had motivation because all of them said that I would never succeed. It was written about me when the group broke up that of everybody in the group, Jody Watley's future will be the most in question and in doubt. Ooh. And so throughout my life, it's just I'm always that underdog that people, they don't see it. And it's like I'm stealth. It's like I won't be denied. Like right. Soldier. It's just it's for me to be me, and I've been always determined to be myself, even within the confines of a group. A lot of the clashes that I would experience is, the being called the B word and just shut up and nobody. You just in learning to stand up for myself and having to deal on my own because the label wouldn't help dealing with. Music programmers that are disrespecting you and trying to touch you improperly, and you complain about it, and it's like what do you think that you are, like just come on over here and sit on my lap, and it's like I'm not gonna do that. And being young, and then nobody from the label, nobody in the group, nobody hey man, don't do it. It's just like, oh, Jody, stop being such a bitch, like and it's like, wow. But it made me, and I tell, young girls coming up, it's like, never lose, or anybody, male or female, it's just never let someone, treat you improperly and be willing to walk away from it, because otherwise it have you
self-respect.
Never lose your self-respect.
It's interesting. I saw Shalamar perform in Atlanta in may have been 81, perhaps, maybe 82. I don't know.
Solar Galaxy of Stars tour?
Yeah, because it was with Lakeside, because I knew some of the guys in Lakeside. And you had on this cream-colored fringe dress, yes. Yeah. And I remember, and there was no doubt. I mean, my eye was on you. That's who my eye was on. I was
thinking, sure you've always been stunning.
Always been stunning. Plus, also, I had the background of being a fan from Soul Train. And then this other level, this other chapter in your career as a solo artist, such great material. Now, the song, most of all, is it true that was meant for Madonna, that song?
No.
Because it's Patrick Leonard produced.
Patrick Leonard produced, and Gardner Cole wrote it. And Gardner, at the time, actually, Madonna and I briefly shared the same manager.
Oh, Freddie DeMann?
Freddie DeMann, until she said, you can't manage her and manage me. So I
Of course
got
she
kicked to
did.
the curb. And so Gardner was bringing songs up for her and for me. And, you know, someone I read that recently, well, that was a throwaway song for her. I said, no, it wasn't. That's Jody Watley song that Gardner wrote for me. And he also gave me Everything, which is one of
he
the...
did that too?
He did that too.
Who produced Everything?
That was produced by Andre Simone.
Andre
that was
Simone.
on the second album.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that Everything is just, most of all, and Everything, I well, in Some Kind of Lover, are my go-to.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness. Now, so
And friends because of Rakim.
right,
Thank you.
yes.
Jody knows I had a crush on
Yes.
him.
So who was your A&R person? Who was pairing you with these songs? Who was saying we need this song? How did that work?
It was actually, and I'm very thankful always to Gerald Busby, who basically allowed me to curate everything, because when I went into, when I started looking for a deal, I didn't want to be the girl that was not knowing who she was. So I said, you know, I'm going to be writing and working with Andre Simone from Minneapolis. I'm doing a duet with George Michael. He's a friend of mine in London. I got Bernard Edwards from Chic and Power Station.
For Don't You Want Me?
Don't You Want Me. And Love and Gesture, and the song and the duet that I did with George Michael, Learn to Say No, Bernard produced. And really Patrick Leonard was the only one that was there. That was the record company choice.
Oh.
But everything else, like all the songs that I helped write, Looking for a New Love, Some Kind of Lover, all of that, Gerald said, just do. He loved that I knew who I was.
Sure.
And so it's really, you know, that was it. Gerald allowed me to write the songs and sing what I want. And as an artist, it's like, in a songwriter, someone asked me recently, do you have any other songs that you wrote and recorded that? I said no, because I knew exactly what I want. So we recorded what was released, and that was it.
Wow.
I was I just knew it. And I told him, I said, I didn't want to be, he just looked at me, I'll never forget it. I said, I don't want to be like anybody else. And I said, and why is it, you know, with black artists, the black department, the urban department, the pop department. So in his office, it's like all of the New Edition, Stephanie, the different album covers that were gold records. And I said, you know, why all the black artists' albums have to have that blue background and that same typography?
Yeah.
And I said, I want my album cover to be in black and white, because it's going to be timeless. And I was like, and it's funny because I'm so, as a person,
Soft-spoken.
I'm just very soft, but I'm so like, I just, no, I'm very, you know, strong-willed.
Well, no, having
love that.
been through what you had gone through at the other label, I mean, you'd be a fool to not be very direct and distinctive of what you wanted it to look like. It would be crazy.
Yeah. That's why I ultimately signed with MCA too, because I met with like Benny Medina at Warner's, and just met with everybody. But Gerald was the one that I felt really confident that he got me, and that's really rare to find in the music business, where, like I said, you know, with women, I just feel like they're just looking at you like, sure, yeah, just be cute and shut up.
So now, all of this leading up to Shalamar Reloaded, that's the show I saw in New York recently. Fabulous. I know you're working on an album with Shalamar Reloaded.
Actually, now we've changed our name, and now we're just SRL, because it's
SRL.
It's just streamlined.
I love that.
Love it.
And just it dropped some baggage, and you know, SRL.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I saw the show. It's fabulous.
Thank you. Everybody loves the guys, and thank you.
What's the website to find out information on where we could see
OfficialSRL.com.
There you
I
go.
love it. I love you so much.
Thank you. I
Jody.
love you too.
It's so fabulous to get
Yes.
to talk to you. I could go on and on. I didn't get a chance to talk about Jermaine Stewart and the song Jody and how that made you feel.
That'll
but
be part 2.
we'll have you come
You'll have
back
to
for
come
part
back,
2.
yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
baby.
Thanks as always.
And Michelle Visage.
Yes,
Until
darling.
next time, my darling.
Bye.
Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.